Hey, it's Tuesday. Let's get a Shupdate here, the shop update. So I gotta remember to take the key out of this so we don't run into any issues. We'll stick it up there. Anyways, the DSC module doesn't communicate at all. I think I talked about this the other day. It doesn't show up in INPA, ISTA, Carly, NCS. It just doesn't communicate. So the module's there. I measure the voltage. It's good. We also have codes for steering angle sensor, so I thought maybe a bad SCL, which is a module back behind the steering wheel in the column that has the steering angle sensor in it. Maybe if that thing goes, it severs communication. So I talked to some coding experts, actually local here in Escondido today, and they said, no, that's extremely unlikely. If the module's not communicating, it's probably a bad module. So I talked with the customer. We got a new used module coming from Phoenix. It'll be here next Monday. So then we're gonna have to pop that in. Now on the E39, the electronic component of the module is independent. Do I have one? No electronic components, but the electronic component is independent from the mechanical component. So here is the pump and this manifold type thing. I don't know what you call this part of it, but your electronic part screws in with Torx 25s or 30s all the way around the perimeter. So you can remove your electronic component, send it out, have it rebuilt, replace it, and then reinstall it without having to disconnect your brake fittings. I don't think that's the case on the E60. It looks like it's all one sealed unit. So to replace just the electronic part of it, which is conveniently located on the back of it, all right, it's not on the front anymore, now it's on the back. I'm gonna have to do the whole thing, which means doing all those fittings and brake lines and then probably flushing the entire pump assembly somehow. I don't know how to do that, but we'll figure it out if we need to. So that's on its way. That should help with that. Now my contact, excellent contact for helping flash the DME to the 2MA version, the manual software. He's so swamped right now. I feel bad to keep texting him and asking him to come down. So I found a local guy who can do it with the ZUSB number that I have and is verified working. So that's going to happen either this week or early next week. Then we're at a point, yesterday I got the clutch bled. So the clutch, I haven't felt it today, but I trust it is still working. Now that that's done, we can really move forward with, getting the flash done, putting the DSC in there, finishing the coding and programming, and then interior reassembly. We've got to put the console back in and the seat. And this is the seat side trim and the HVAC stuff that goes over there. Center dash trim, shift knob has to go in, and then a little bit of reassembly in the engine bay with the cabin boxes, the air boxes, all the shit that's missing right now. Then we got the Blackstone back. It's not very clean. It needs to have rod bearings at a minimum. So I don't know if the customer's going to want me to fill it with oil and run it at all, drive it at all, test drive it at all, or ship it back up to his guy in Orange County who he wants to do the rod bearings. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But we're taking it one step at a time. Today was productive. Spent some time on the phone and figured out this DME flashing thing. In the meantime, Kenan's M3, Kenan's M5. Yesterday I replaced the lines, the oil return hoses that are under the plenum. So they go from the bottom of the cyclone separators back into the block, I suppose. So we have this little line and fittings are new. That one's new, and this one going into the idle control valve is new. With new hose clamps. So all of that's nice and fresh. Looks like Kenan did some more cleaning on this mating surface. So it's ready to have the water pump or the thermostat housing, a new thermostat and thermostat gasket reinstalled and fitted into these tubes. Then we've got to do the valve covers. Everything, we're not really doing anything under the valve covers. We'll make sure all of that's clean. New plugs are already in. We didn't want to leave those wells open. So the valve covers are cleaned and ready to go back on with fresh gaskets. And then the new coil packs, check the grounds, torque the bolts all the way around. Lower plenum, clean the lower plenum out, put the new cyclone separators on there. Upper plenum, I don't think he's doing the plenum gasket. And then obviously we're gonna have to bleed the entire cooling system. He's not doing the cooling hoses since those were done a couple of years ago. And the hoses are stupid expensive now for some reason. But here's all the old hardware. The vast majority of this is going back in, minus the coil packs, and these are the cyclone separators I'm talking about that are going to be replaced. These upper return hoses are fine. There's going to be new grommets in those holes which fit onto the separators. These I think are going back on. These gaskets will be replaced. These will be cleaned out and put back on, and then all the hardware has been soaking in degreasing agents. So lots of progress over there. On the M3, we figured out that the interior lights stay on and that driver's door doesn't want to pop its window back shut most of the time because the door contact is bad. I imagine he locked the car, but it's the same on the E39. I can show you on my car, it's not locked. As the door shuts, that latch goes into here and presses this contact closed. See? And then the window goes up. But the door doesn't close enough, or this thing, like, it is worn. You can visibly see wear on that little switch. So the door must not be shutting enough to fully depress that contact into two things, telling the car, one, raise the window, and two, interior lights. So we have to keep those on the left switch position to keep them off. So I ordered a new one of these, and a gasket, and a striker plate, and a bracket locking plate thing, and these two Torx bolts, which should be in, I think, tomorrow. So we'll get that fixed, and that'll be a really nice thing to have fixed. Then, of course, on the way up here today, the music gets quieter and quieter and quieter, and we think the amp is dead. So fix one thing, 3 more break.